and welcome to And So Much More. I am here with these two lovely ladies who I'm really excited to let them share their story. This is Tracy Garrett, who's a nurse practitioner at Gretna Medical Center within our Centra Health System. And this is one of her patients, Cindy, and they go way back. And I'll let them kind of share their story, but on this podcast, we talk a lot about the different things we need to do to take care of ourselves, whether that's preventatively against, cancers or heart disease, or if we're talking about being aware about certain things that happen. But ground zero is a good relationship with your primary care provider. I feel like we always come back to that. It's a bit of repetition, but it's so important because that's where it starts. That's where things are uncovered if you have that close relationship. And you guys are like the picture of that relationship. And I love it so much. And so I guess first, let's talk about where you first met, because it isn't necessarily in the doctor's office, correct?
That's right. So in about 1992, Miss Cindy was my French teacher many, many years ago at Gretna High School. And she was such a wonderful teacher and put a love of travel into my soul that I have continued to do throughout my lifetime. And about 15 years later, she was teaching my sister, and we got to go to France together, and we became close at that time. And then around 2016, I became a nurse practitioner at Gretna Medical Center, and she became my patient.
Wow. I love that. So did you go in knowing like, hi, I would like to go to Tracy Garrett because I know her, I trust her? Or was it kind of like it happened?
I was already a patient at Centra.
Okay.
My dad was one of the town doctors in Gretna. So when he retired, I needed to find a registered health care.
Yeah.
So Centra had built a facility, and I became a patient there and went through several people there that came and went.
Yeah.
And when Tracy came, and I didn't even know she was there, I called for my appointment, and the receptionist asked me if I would like to schedule that with Tracy, and I jumped on it.
Oh, I love that because there's that history there.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the years, you are not the only patient from your family who sees Tracy, correct?
Correct.
So tell me that wide picture.
Well, I became her patient in 2016. My husband, who was also a patient in the clinic, started seeing Tracy in 2016, 2017. Our son was in college in Ohio, but when he came home, he had been a patient at Centra. And when he came home after graduating, he started seeing Tracy. And just in November, my son just had his first child. And now she is a patient of Tracy. And my mom had another provider in town. When he retired, she became a patient of Tracy. So Tracy takes care of 4 generations of my family.
My goodness. I mean, so I guess when you guys are talking about family and the healthcare that really, your family, what's happening in their family's health really ties into your health. Mm-hmm. That must be such a cool perspective for you to have because you are seeing the whole family.
Mm-hmm. The day that her newest grandbaby came to me, I sat there and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is my friends, and then this is also my first 4-generation family that I have as a nurse practitioner, being there almost 9 years. And I told her son that, and I think he went home and told mom, and
I love that.
And that's where this started.
Very cool. So what does that relationship look like now? There's a different level of trust. I know I trust my primary care provider explicitly, and she's helped me through so many things at this point. And I just met her, a few years ago. But for you all, that goes back so far. Does that just introduce a different level of trust into your patient-provider relationship?
Oh, I believe it does.
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad was my doctor until he retired.
Yeah.
And you need to have a certain level of trust, but you have to work at it
Yes.
with someone new when you feel like you're starting all over again. And it takes work and it takes effort. Not that that's not a good thing,
Yeah.
but with Tracy, we already had that.
Yeah.
So we were able to just hit the ground running.
Yeah. So what advice would you give someone who want this relationship? They need, because we all do. We all absolutely need to have a trusted relationship with a primary care provider, because it bleeds into so many other areas. But what advice would you give to establish that?
I think first and foremost, you have to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, so many people like to fudge about their weight, their blood pressure, what they're eating, their type of lifestyle, whether
Yes.
it's sedentary or lots of exercise or whatever. You have to be honest.
Yeah, because you're not going to get that precision health that you need if you're not. Yeah.
Exactly.
Tracy, what would you suggest?
I think that too many people call an office, get a provider, and if they don't mesh with that person, they either just don't go back or they don't ask for somebody new. And people need to know in healthcare, you do need to make sure that it is somebody that you can relate to, that you can confide in, and that you can trust.
Yeah.
And if that's not that person that you probably get assigned to or possibly get assigned to, you need to find somebody and not just settle, because your healthcare will add years to your life if it's done correctly.
Yeah. Okay. That is so important. And I feel like there are so many people who just won't advocate for themselves, or, they don't want to, jump around. Or so we're hearing this from a provider. If you are not meshing with a provider, call and just get that relationship in place somehow. That is very cool. So Gretna is a beautiful place, but it's a somewhat smaller place, and our health system, gosh, I feel like it spans such a wide area. Would you say that you see this type of relationship and experience across the board?
I do. I know that a lot of my families, I'm seeing wife and husband and children, and many 3-generation families, and they usually tend to choose the same provider, unless you really make them upset at some point, which happens sometimes. But I think that you have to be honest with your patients. You cannot sugarcoat things, and you need to be there not to fuss at them, not to nag them, but give them information when they need it, give them advice, but you also have to respect when they don't want to take that information or advice.
Yeah, I love that. So that honesty and that respect really goes both ways. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is my hope that people can find that relationship, I think you even said, it extends your life when you are taking care of yourself in the way that you need to be taken care of, because it's so unique to each person. So thank you for that. That's a lot of wisdom from both of you. And is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything burning from conversation, or even about your relationship?
I just know that I'm going to take care of her for a long time, and her family.
Hope so.
I love that so much. Thank you both for being on here. Appreciate your time. And thank you for joining us on And So Much More.